The Pauly one is wild. But do you mean like the most good faith? I don't know. I don't know that I've had many good faith debates in a while. I think when I'm looking at debates I did really well at, I would say the capitalism socialism debate I had with Amender. I think I did really well on that debate. I think that's one of the debates I'm most proud of in terms of like my performance. I think I dominated at the Q-top debate. Yeah, I think that as well.
Oh shit! I don't think I can join this one. Wait, can I? I have to be a phone call. I have to leave. Try it.
Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
My name is Tom, and I'm 39. Call me he.
Okay.
Yep.
What are you here to debate about, Tom?
I think I mean, there's lots on there I disagree with, but I think the abortion all 9 months thing, I know what you're doing. I think it's super misleading, and I think it's meant to make people mad. But I'm still trying to figure out why people why people refer to abortion as like, oh, it's just ending a pregnancy. Like, that's BS, right?
Because the Harvard medical definition of abortion is the evacuation of the contents of the uterus. So that's what I refer to as an abortion.
Yeah, but if you're
not use the Harvard medical,
so would
not use Harvard medical journal definition of abortion.
Yeah, but when someone gets a cesarean, right? Are you calling that an abortion? Is someone marking that as an abortion?
No, but I would call a hysterotomy abortion an abortion, which is essentially a C-section. I don't know that I would classify cesarean sections as abortions.
Well, I would hope you wouldn't. That seems bogus. I don't know why anyone would think that would be a thing.
Well, because it meets the terminology, so some people would.
Yeah, but I mean,
medical evacuation of the uterus. So some people would use that.
That's called a birth too, right? It's also you would just call it a birth.
No, birth wouldn't be medical, right? Birth would be the like natural removal of the contents.
No, because my son was born early, and he needed to be, even though he went through the birth canal, it was emergency, and he had to be taken out. And there's some who need to be removed via C-section. Like my older boy was born at 38 weeks, and then he needed to, because he was breech and he was stuck under my wife's ribs. She didn't have an abortion; she gave birth.
Yeah, when we say medical, we mean like the medical procedure is inducing this thing to happen.
Right.
So if it's not induced a medical procedure, I wouldn't call it an abortion. But if medical procedures are inducing it, I would.
Okay.
So a C-section usually happens after you've started labor, right? Or you're going through labor and they've noticed there's a complication and you need to do a C-section. But yeah, abortion just means, the way I use it is just the removal of the contents of the uterus via medical means.
And okay, so yeah, I guess I don't know. It seems just seems silly, and it seems meant to make people mad more than like. I get what you're saying, and it makes it. It doesn't make sense, but I mean, I don't know, like it.
Well, I mean what I say there. So why would I write something differently? I mean exactly what I say. The entirety of the pregnancy, 9 months, you can have an abortion. The whole thing.
Right, but I mean, colloquially, we talk about abortions as ending the fetal life or the life of the child, right? We're not. I mean, that's how people that's how they attach the thing, the definition, and that's what it is. I mean, when you're really talking, when someone off the street just mentions, "Oh, I'm against abortion," they're not talking about, I'm against an abortion at 8 months or whatever. They're talking about what I'm saying. They're not. And you wouldn't go, oh, well, actually, I mean, it's actually giving birth, but, that's stupid.
Yeah. So the reason why I would disagree with this is because the way that we use the term abortion didn't really come into public foray until George Bush like legally changed what an abortion is on like legal in like specifically in the partial birth abortion bill, which was in 2001, 2002. I don't remember the date specifically. But that's when we started calling abortion something else. Abortion has always meant just muted myself. Abortion has always meant just the termination of pregnancy via the removal of a fetus, right? It wasn't until it was changed by conservatives that we started calling it something else. So no, I just reject this premise of this is what an abortion means, especially when we look at what abortions do. I don't use abortion to say, oh, you're just killing a fetus, like, right? That's not abortion is the removal of the contents of pregnancy.
The contents of pregnancy? Could you remove any more humanity from the action?
What multiple things get removed and can be removed in abortion? You can remove pregnancy tissue, products of conception, the placenta, the fetus. There are multiple things that come out. It's not just like one thing.
Yeah, but when people talk about abortion, they're not. Oh, I'm just going to remove the pregnancy material. Like, come on, man. Like, no one talks like that. Not you talk like that. And but like nobody's actually saying, like, when you talk on the street about abortion, and you say abortion all 9 months. What people are saying, know that you're saying, or think that you're saying, is removal of the fetus and it dies. Period. You're not saying abortion whenever you want, but then you can give birth if you can. Like, that's not what you're saying.
Well, yes, what I'm saying, if people want to ask my stance, they can. What I'm saying is, up until 24 weeks, you can have whatever type of abortion you want. I don't care what you do to the fetus. I don't care what you do to get it out. Whether you want to kill it to get it out, whether you want to vacuum it out, whether you want to remove its limbs and take it out. I don't care what you do prior to 24 weeks. After 24 weeks, when the fetus has the capacity for sentience, then I think you should remove it in non-lethal means, unless there's a medical reason why you can't do that, and the doctors need to unalive it because of medical reasons. In which case, I'll say do whatever the doctors say to do, because doctors are going to know best.
Interesting.
All of this is still saying that you can have abortions for all 9 months of pregnancy.
No, I mean, it's a weird twisting of definitions, I think. Again, and even just how
I'm using the Harvard Medical School definition of an abortion. I'm not twisting anything. I'm using what Harvard Medical School defines the procedure.
Is that true? I would really like.
Abortion is the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, or the fetus and placenta from the uterus.
And is there any caveat to how the fetus ends, or are you just sort of conveniently leaving something out there?
The term abortion doesn't make any claims about how the fetus is taken out. It's just saying that it is the taking out of a fetus, right? Then you have specific abortion procedures which will dictate how the fetus is removed, such as an induction abortion, a hysterectomy abortion, a D&C, a D&E, the abortion pill. These are going to be the specifics of how an abortion is done. I'm just using the term abortion the way they use, which is just the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, or the fetus and placenta from the uterus.
Yeah, that's yeah. I guess the same as you. I just sort of, well, I don't know. It's just an odd way of putting it, I suppose. And when I see lives that put that, you know, it just seems more of a. I mean, I guess it's what you do. It's the engagement arm of it. You know, it gets people talking and chatting and engaging and telling you like, oh, this is sick and twisted, and that just helps. But you know, again, but I also think it's important that people talk about like how these things are brought up colloquially, because people don't talk in terms of Harvard Health definitions, right? Well, like we do recognize most people recognize what the definition of abortion is. Whether or not it was changed, I would like to verify that in what you believe was changed during the Bush administration. That's interesting.
I think people are defining abortion as the killing of a fetus. That's their issue. If I'm going to talk about a medical procedure, I'm always going to define it the way that the medical procedures are defined, not by colloquialism, right? I'm going to define them in their actual medical terminology. I think to do anything else is a disservice to just all of medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just weird because, like, I mean, by the definition, a C-section is an abortion, but, you know, again, no doctor in their right mind would ever refer to it as such, because I guess I believe in my mind that they are taking into account, you know, colloquially what this is. You know, again, I don't want to keep using that word, but I mean, they understand like what an abortion is opposed to childbirth, even if it is for medical necessity or not. You know, if it's medically necessary to give birth at this time and you have to, and it's successful, great. And if it's not, failed birth or, you know, death in childbirth, infant mortality, you know, there is classifications for it. But to just refer to these things again, like, oh, well, that's what Harvard Medical says. Like, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I can see it here. But I mean, if we're being real, like, abortion all 9 months is absurd. You know, and I know. I mean, I'm a little bit more in line with your stance. I think a little bit earlier than 24 weeks is probably the limitation.
My limitation is going to be at the point of sentience. So it's going to be 24 weeks.
The point of sentience?
Yes, that's when the fetus has the capacity to experience. It's around 24 weeks.
Sorry, it has what?
It has the capacity to experience. It has the capacity to engage in sentience. 24 weeks.
And that's it across the board. There's no exceptions to that rule ever.
Typically, it's going to be 24 to 28 weeks. 24 tends to be the earliest. But if we want to, we can do brain scans on the fetus before an abortion and determine if it's sentient or not. And we can know what type of abortion to have.
Why do you mean birth? I'm so confused.
An induction abortion or a hysterectomy abortion would still be abortion. Granted, the fetus is probably going to die if it's earlier than 24 weeks, but, you know.
Right, there has been cases where they have survived, but yeah, it's generally like 21 between 24 is the absolute limit, depending on where you are, too, in medical treatment. My son was born at 25 weeks, 2 days, and it was pins and needles, like trying to, you know, just like, oh my God, is this going to work? He was 2 pounds, 2 ounces, like, but like, you know, again, it just kind of comes down to like, I think treating life as life from the very moment of conception is much more, it will help people in the long run versus, you know, just being like, oh, that's not a thing, so just dispose of it, like garbage disposal, that, you know, like.
Well, one, I'm not disputing that it's life at conception. It being life means nothing in terms of my.
It's just not valuable enough to keep.
It has no moral consideration.
Oof, that's rough.
The value is going to be based on whoever's pregnant, right? I can't claim whether or not this thing has value, but I don't give it moral consideration prior to being sentient. I don't give any non-sentient thing moral consideration.
Dang. So,
why would I?
Huh?
I don't know why. Why would I give a non-sentient thing moral consideration?
Well, I don't know. I guess I would hope if someone that you knew was in a coma that you wouldn't just be like, they're in a coma, we should just, you know.
What patients have the capacity for sentience? They meet my qualifier.
Oh, yours. So it's moral relativism. I got it.
Yeah, I think all morals are relative to the person.
Yeah.
We just debate about whether or not whose moral standing would be better applicable to law.
Right.
And like better applicable to harm reduction, and I would say it's mine.
Oh. Well, again, I think if you give value and moral consideration to the unborn prior to 24 weeks, I think you fundamentally change how people interact with each other later in life, because again, there's a real attachment to it, and understand like this is a human life. It's a miracle. It's a I mean, do you have any kids?
Whether I did or didn't wouldn't change.
No, I'm just asking you, though. I'm just asking you. I understand you can have an opinion and not have kids.
I don't think it matter as much whether I do or don't. Like none of like my argument stays the same. You know what I mean?
I know, but have you? Well, I mean, but there's a difference between like witnessing the birth and growth of a child, and then just sort of like from afar. Like
I have witnessed the birth and growth of a child before. Yeah.
From like for every single day, staying up with them all night, feeding them, all of it, like it was yours. And if you didn't, like that's what I mean. So you have your own kids.
I have witnessed the birth and growth of a child. That's what I'll say.
Okay, so I mean, like, I mean, it's I guess it's surprising because to me that it totally changed my perspective, because I was much in where you were before I had kids. Once I had kids, it totally changed my perspective on what this was, like what a woman goes through, and then how that translates into me respecting other people and how I look at them much different. You know, and of course, like I say this knowing that you're never going to get 100% retention in this, and not everyone will always respect life. But I think we move to a much better place again if you give moral consideration to the unborn prior to 24 weeks.
Why would that put us in a better place morally?
Because you understand like how valuable life is and how fleeting it could be, but just the true miracle of it. Like, I mean, and then because of
life.
What's that?
I do value life. I just value sentient life. Whether or not I put the value of life at pre-sentience doesn't really change the fact that post-sentience, which like all babies that are born have value, and I now consider them morally. So like me not considering them prior to post, like it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird. I just do.
Like, why would should I be valuing trees too, and like rocks and like dirt and like all these other things?
You know the difference. You know the difference. Don't do that. You're being disingenuous. You know exactly what I mean.
There is no difference between two things that are not sentient. There is no difference. One might become sentient someday, sure. But that doesn't mean that the way that they are currently isn't the same.
So what gives you the right to interrupt the natural process of gaining sentience just because you don't think it has value? Right?
What gives me the right I'm sorry, ask that question again.
What gives you the right to interrupt the natural processes of gaining sentience? Yes, a rock. Yes. What?
I don't think there's any rights being violated by interrupting the natural process of light.
Why?
I don't think there's any rights being violated here, because I don't believe that humans have rights until they're sentient. So no rights are getting violated. Right, specifically, the purpose of rights are for the purpose of rights is for two sentient beings to interact with each other. Rights dictate how two people are going to interact with each other. So I don't believe fetuses to be people yet until they're sentient. So therefore, they have no need for rights.
Right. But given its natural...
I don't care about potential. Potential is just a concept. It's nonsense. Right?
Potential is just a concept. It's nonsense. It's a okay.
Yes. Should I give a 5-year-old alcohol because they will eventually be 21?
No, because giving that child alcohol could possibly kill it. Oh. You are interrupting.
No. Well, hold on. The reason why we don't do things is because I'll ask you another one. Should I give a 4th grader a high school diploma because potentially they will graduate high school?
No, these are not.
Potential, yes, they are. The potential has to be actualized. The potential is not actualized in a fetus yet. Once that potential is actualized and they have the capacity for sentience, then I'm going to start treating them like sentient creatures, not before. I'm not going to treat them like sentient creatures before they are sentient.
Yeah, no, it's a BS argument or a rebuttal in my opinion, because so you are asserting that you know better and that your morals are better and ending the potential sentience now. And given its natural processes, it will get there. And of course, it's not 100%. No pregnancy is 100%. That's so sad, et cetera, and so on. I don't want to debate that part. But again, you you just handing over something to someone because they might get it one day is totally different. It's totally different. If given the natural process of a kid in school, yes, he will likely get a high school diploma. That doesn't mean you just hand it to him. That's not what I'm saying here.
Exactly. Given the natural processes, a fetus will eventually become sentient and have the need for rights. But I'm not just going to give it rights because it has the potential to eventually have them.
You're mixing up what I'm saying about rights. I'm saying you do not have the authority, moral or otherwise, to end that life before it has sentience. Because given its natural processes, it will get there.
I have the authority to do that. I think the pregnant person has the authority to do that.
No,
because they hold no obligation to do this. Because they hold no obligation, right? They can do whatever they want and take it out of their body, and then if it dies, it dies.
Again, then the argument becomes like, when, I guess the argument then becomes when should we grant rights to the unborn?
24 weeks. When it has the capacity, that's when I give all humans rights when they've developed the capacity for sentience, and those rights will remain until the capacity for sentience is permanently gone. Once it is permanently gone, then I no longer grant them rights.
Well, then you get into the sticky situation of, so now these children are just dependent on you, like they're just dependent on you forever, even though they're sentient. Like we're just.
Huh? What? What are you talking about?
I'm saying that now you get into the argument of if it's just because they're sentient and they're human, now they're human at 24 weeks. What about all the time that they're reliant on their parents anyway?
I still don't understand what you're asking me. I don't care about them being reliant on somebody. That has nothing to do with the argument.
Okay. Well, maybe I misunderstood that part. Sorry about that. I just fundamentally disagree. I think and again, you don't have to agree with me on it, but I do find that, for the reasons stated, I just think it's far more productive for humanity to understand this as this is a child, we need to protect it. Now, do I think that there's instances where a true abortion is necessary? Yes, I do think there are real instances where it should be okay. But I don't think it should be.
Why does somebody who's pregnant have an obligation to carry the fetus?
Because most of the time it's a consensual act that the child is there in the first place. And if you're going to,
why they're now obligated.
What's that?
It doesn't answer why they're obligated. One act being consensual does not satisfy the condition of why this should be obligated, right? Why should we obligate it? Like, what is the reason specifically that pregnant people should be obligated to carry a fetus? We're going to say that you are obligated to do this because you engaged in a consensual act? That doesn't make sense.
Because they engaged in activities that likely result in pregnancy. And if that is the case, then, again, it might be hard for some, but there's many systems in place that assist in the rearing of children in the early ages for those who are less fortunate.
Wait, you still haven't answered the question, though. You still haven't said why they're obligated. You just said they engaged in pregnancy and then they got pregnant. I know this, but now why are they obligated to keep that pregnancy? Just because they engaged in sex?
Because it's a human. It's a human. It's a human. We don't kill humans.
We're obligated to. Well, we do all the time.
Sorry, say that one more time. I missed
all the time. We do this all the time. There are justified killings. They happen all the time.
And which one would that be?
And I would say, unfortunately, there's tons of them. We consider war to be justified. We tend to consider self-defense to be justified. Like, there's a ton of things that are justified.
Right, because well, let's go with the self-defense one, since I've heard you say this before.
Pulling the plug on the brain dead person.
Right, brain dead is dead. There's no coming back from brain death. So that was a nice try.
Well, because they're not.
Self-defense is different because someone's intending to do harm upon an innocent person. What?
Wait, I just want to point this out. When it comes to brain death, their bodies can still be working. They can be hooked up to machines that are keeping their blood circulating, keeping all this stuff working, right? But we pull the plug because they have lost the ability for sentience. Their brains no longer work. The experience is gone. Therefore, we don't consider them people anymore, and we pull the plug.
Again,
the experience
given
also isn't there. Sorry, 24 weeks.
Again, given the body's natural processes, that brain dead person will die. The fetus inside, again, it goes back to what I said already. You don't have the moral right to end the life of a potential sentient being. Given its natural processes, it will survive. The brain dead person will not.
Actually, given natural processes, it won't survive. It only survives because someone else is keeping it alive.
Do you know what natural processes of pregnancy are, or do I need to take you to school on this?
Hold on. Yes, but we're not talking about the natural processes of pregnancy.
That's what I've been talking about.
Hold on. We're talking about the natural processes of this creature's body. So if a fetus is taken outside of a pregnant person's womb, it will not survive.
No, dude. So you need to understand what. But okay, you need to understand what people are talking about when they mention to you that given natural processes, when it comes to a fetus, what that means.
Hold on. I understand what you're saying. But when we compare it to somebody who's brain dead, and you say, well, their natural processes would lead to death unless they're hooked up to some kind of external life support, like a fetus. A fetus will naturally die unless connected to some external form of life support. The fetus can't maintain homeostasis without being connected to the pregnant person. The fetus can't regulate its internal temperature. It can't take in nutrition. It can't take in oxygen. It has to be connected.
Newborns can barely do that either.
The only difference is a newborn can absolutely regulate internal temperature, can absolutely digest and regulate nutrition.
It will not feed itself.
We're not talking about feeding itself. I'm saying a fetus can't even. Nope.
You did. Roll back the tape. You did.
Nope. I'm talking about the distribution of nutrients through its body. A fetus can't distribute nutrients throughout its body. The placenta is doing this, right?
No.
So a baby can maintain homeostasis. You know how I know a baby can maintain homeostasis? Because if I leave a baby in a crib and I go into the other room, the baby doesn't die.
Right.
That means it's maintaining homeostasis.
Right.
The fetus cannot maintain homeostasis unless connected to some form of support. The only difference is the brain dead person is hooked up to a technological form of life support, and the fetus is hooked up to a biological form of life support. That's going to be the only difference. They both can only live when being supported from some other external factor. So when you say the natural process of the brain dead person is to die, it's only going to die if it's disconnected from this form of life support, just like the fetus.
Okay, so the natural process of a fetus is that of which it is living symbiotically with the mother. That is the natural process of it. The natural process of an adult who is brain dead, or any person who is brain dead, is outside of a mother and who's not hooked up to anything, whose brain is controlling all the functions of breathing, digestion, all that's whatever it is. That is the natural process of things. That is what I'm talking about. An unnatural process for a fetus is to be removed from the mother's. What?
You notice that you just avoided everything I said?
No, I needed to remind you that, explain to you what it means to be the natural process of a fetus. You needed to be reminded.
I know what you meant by natural process. I already explained to you that I knew what you meant by natural process.
Yeah, but
I already explained that. I said how your distinction between natural process when it comes to the death of the brain dead person is the exact same distinction that would be used in terms of the fetus. Didn't need you to repeat the same nonsense you said when I quite literally explained to you why this would be an analogous comparison between a brain dead person on life support and a fetus in the womb. Neither can engage in keeping their biological processes running unless connected to an external source. The fetus is external, is simply biological. while the brain dead person's source is going to be technological. But both need an external source to keep them alive. Both, if disconnected from this external source, will die.
Yeah.
They cannot maintain their own biological processes. They cannot maintain homeostasis. The fetus cannot, and the brain dead person cannot. The brain isn't in a place that it can do so.
Right. You're not even understanding.
None of this explains why a pregnant person has an obligation.
Why they have an obligation? Because it's a human life, and we are obligated to protect human life, and most everyone will do so if they're not a psychopath.
Sure. Why is it bad to end human life?
Why is it bad to end human life?
Why is it morally wrong to end a human life?
Well, because why? I mean, because it's human. It's a person. Why would you? I mean, I don't know.
Right, this is the answer. This doesn't tell me why. Right? It's wrong to end a human because it's a human. That doesn't tell me anything.
Right. It's a complicated answer. I don't know if you understand it. It's hard to just boil things down to black and white. And I'm sure what's that?
Really easy. I think it's a really easy answer.
Okay, give me your answer. If it's so easy, I would love to hear what your answer is, because I'm honestly, I think there's a lot to it.
It is not wrong to end a human life unless you are ending a human experience. Just ending human life is not morally wrong. What's morally wrong is ending a human experience.
Again, what gives you the moral authority to end someone's human experience before it's even begun?
I know that you're avoiding. You're not ending a human experience before it's begun. There is no human experience to end. You can't end something that hasn't started yet.
But yeah, but you're saying I have the authority to choose that this person holds no value, moral or otherwise. So fuck it, and then I'm going to rip it out.
Are we having a morality conversation? Yes or no?
The morality always is in the discussion. Absolutely, yes.
Great. So then, to respond to a question on morals with who gives you the right to make moral decisions is like super nonsense. We're having a conversation about morals. So obviously, we're going to be having who gives the U.S. government the right to put someone on death row and end their moral existence. Who gives them the moral right?
Because
we're having a conversation about morals.
You want to know why?
Nonsense.
You want to know why? Because if someone walked in and did something completely awful to someone you or I love, I guarantee you and everyone in your chat would be like, yeah, shoot that guy into the sun, because you don't have the right to come into my home and end the life of an innocent person. Not at all.
The one, I'm never going to be in favor of capital punishment.
Man, I hope. Yeah, okay.
Second, all you're doing now is pivoting and moving away from the conversation at hand.
I'm not pivoting anything.
You can't. Well, we have. You can't provide me a relevant, not even relevant. You can't provide me a reason why ending human life is wrong, other than it's a human. That's not a reason, right? I know it's human. Why is it wrong to end animal life?
Well, I mean, you could make the argument that we over farm and over hunt things, and there can come a point where it is morally wrong. Absolutely. But no, I think for the most part, and we're part of the animal kingdom. We hunt things in order to stay alive.
Great.
Just
so
like the animal kingdom does.
I would just love a reason then why it's wrong to end human life. What's the reason? What makes it immoral? And it can't just be it's immoral because it's immoral, because that's all you're saying. You're saying, well, it's immoral to end humans just because it is. No, if something's immoral, what's the reason it's immoral?
I don't know. I don't know how to put it other than that people do not have. It's immoral to take the life of another innocent party in the human race. I don't even know. It's a hard thing to. I don't even know why it's a hard thing to describe. I never thought I'd have to describe to someone why it's wrong to take the life of another human.
I I think most people don't look into their own moral reasons for things. They just intuitively go, well, I intuitively feel this way, and I'm just going to go with that. They don't actually look into what is or is not the reason why something might be moral or not. So when it comes to ending life, I'm going to say what makes ending life immoral is the relevant harm that it does. But harm can only happen to beings that can experience said harm. A fetus, prior to 24 weeks, can't experience that harm because it doesn't have the ability to experience yet. So you're not harming it. So there is no negative morality in this. This is going to be the distinction with our two viewpoints. You think just because it's a human, it deserves life and liberty and blah 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 blah, while ignoring the actual human that is going to experience harm by forcing them to remain pregnant.
You think pregnancy is harm?
Pregnancy can absolutely be harm.
It can. Yes. It could, yeah. Yes. It could. You can get struck by lightning when you walk out of your house, but so maybe you should never go outside.
No, pregnancy to someone who doesn't want to be pregnant is absolutely harm.
Then don't be a frivolous. Don't be a don't go and sleep with every other person. Don't be a. What?
There it is. It's nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with the
fetus. Has everything to do with that. Do people understand?
All it has to do with is you wanting to place some sort of moralistic control over what people do in the bedroom.
No, because I don't care.
You can't. Well, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because we've already proven that. We've already gone over it, and you can't substantiate why having sex gives you an obligation. So now sex doesn't give you an obligation, but you're over here going, well, don't have sex, even though you can't relevantly say why it gives you an obligation to have to carry the fetus.
Here's the deal, right? Before you think I'm just trying to control women's bodies, because that's all you guys can come up with, it has nothing to do with that. First of all, people can think for themselves. I'm not telling anybody how to live their lives. My thing right now is I want people to hear what I'm saying because it might resonate with somebody in your chat or whatever. And there is consideration to be taken when it comes to your sexual exploits. Do I want people to stop having sex? No, sex is great. Do I want people to engage in the safest sexual intercourse or whatever possible? Yes. And I also want them to understand that doing that comes with sometimes, even when you are using protection, the consequence, if you want to even call it that, I won't call pregnancy consequence, but it can come with pregnancy. And you should be aware of that. And also aware that there are so many resources that could help you once you do. And that's why I say people shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm pregnant. I need to just get rid of it because I'm not quite ready. Well, you'd be surprised. Again, anecdotal or not, you'd be surprised at what happens to the mother and father as these things progress and change over the course of.
None of this, by the way, has elaborated why this person should now have an obligation. None of it does. None of it is.
I mean, I already told you, man. It's a human life, and we should strive to protect every human life possible.
Why?
Because human life holds great value. We can do amazing things.
Why?
I shouldn't have to define why it's morally right. And I think I think it's weird that you're asking me to define why human life is valuable or why
you shouldn't have to substantiate your claims. You shouldn't have to defend your position. I should just go, you know what? You're right. You've made a position and you know what? Take the W. Here's your position. No, if you're going to say something, defend it. If you can't defend your position, why call into a debate show?
I've been defending my position. I don't have to defend like morality in preserving human life. Are you mad?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you're going to claim somebody cannot do an action because of X reason, you need to defend that reason. I assume you don't think abortion should be legal, correct?
I think there should be limitations on it, but I did say earlier that we
level.
What's that?
Core level.
What?
Core level. Elective abortions at its core level, you don't believe should be legal.
I believe that, I mean, medical abortions are totally different, 100% different. I think there should definitely be limitations on elective ones because I think there should be absolutely limitations on them.
Because you believe elective abortion should be illegal, you are making a claim that we should be limiting what people can do. But then when I ask you to defend this, you go, well, I don't think I should have to defend it.
No, I shouldn't. No, what I said was I shouldn't have to define why, or I shouldn't have to tell you why. It's
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. If the reason why we shouldn't have abortion is because it ends a human life, but you can't tell me why, quote unquote, ending a human life is bad, then why would I limit abortions if you can't tell me why this is bad? If you can't tell me where the negative immorality comes from, why should I ban this thing?
Where does it come from? I think society in general has decided that taking innocent life is wrong. Bottom line, like that's it.
When society as a whole said that slavery was okay, that was okay.
A majority of people stood up against it.
Before they did, there was like 100 years there where nobody.
Right. I'm not debating what 300-year-old man did. I'm not, and I never said it was right either.
Society as a whole, when the society as a whole makes the relevant distinction that makes something moral or immoral, because society as a whole has decided that killing is wrong, so that means killing is wrong. There is no external reason. It's just that everybody got together and said killing is wrong. So then if everybody gets together tomorrow and like society as a whole said killing is right, you would go, okay, killing is right morally. It's an ad populum fallacy. Something is not moral just because a bunch of people says it is. Something is not immoral because a bunch of people says it is.
Well, I mean, do you think murder is acceptable?
No, because I've already explained why. I believe that it does harm to end a sentient experience. I've already gone over this. When somebody can experience something, then they can be harmed. They can experience that harm in some relevant way, whether that's feeling pain, whether that's feeling emotional trauma, whether that's whatever it is. They can now experience that pain. But prior to the ability to experience that, no, I don't think there's anything wrong happening because they physically can't experience anything.
So as long as you're not feeling pain, it's okay to end someone's life.
Pain is one part of what I said.
Okay. But if you can't experience it, if you can't feel the pain, you can't experience it, we could still dispose of you if we didn't, right?
Nope, because you are experiencing other things. Pain is one part of experience.
Okay.
Right? When I drink water, I don't feel pain, but I experience myself drinking that water. Pain is just one example I gave to explain experience.
And remind me again, are you okay with the termination of a brain dead person? Or should we just like toss them in the garbage?
Yeah, when someone's brain dead, I don't care what you do. It's just a body at that point. I don't care about a body sentient. Toss it in the fryer if you want. Cook up some human steak. I don't think there's any morality here. I think anything you do would be amoral. There might be some relevant harm that it does to a society at large if you do something, right? There might be some other psychological harm or something, but the morality is there's nothing more morally wrong because you're not harming that individual.
Huh. So why does the ability to experience something create value? Where does the value come from?
So the reason why we say that the ability to experience, I wouldn't say create value. I would say create some moral, because value is subjective. Some people might value the body of their dead grandmother, and I'm not going to say they can't, right? We're just talking about whether there's a moral consideration. The reason why I believe the ability to experience generates that moral consideration is because once you can experience, harm can be done to you. You can't be harmed prior to that experience. You don't have the ability. You physically cannot be harmed. Once you can be harmed, I think it's safe to say that we as people want to protect people from that harm. We want to make sure they have positive outcomes in their experience. It's not negative.
Well, I think that's a great place to stop, Jovan. I want to thank you for letting me come on and talk. But I think I got all I needed out of it. But I appreciate you doing your debates and you continuing to be open with people. It's definitely good. But yeah, we just disagree on some stuff.
Problem.
Cool, man. Have a good one. Bruh. What the hell? Ooh. Who enjoyed that? Hmm? Who enjoyed that nonsense? You want to hear my unfiltered opinion on that? I think having to define why it's immoral to end a human life is nonsense. I don't even know why I have to do it. It's just bonkers. It's bonkers. And hey, Trey, thanks so much for the 10. Some pence for your suffering, good sir. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, man. These are one of those. I'm sorry I couldn't read all of your questions. I was able to read some at the end there because I just was tuning him out. I was really trying to listen to what he said and respond. And I kept losing track. That's why I wasn't getting it. But I got some in there. Thank you guys for. But Charlie over on Twitch says, so let me hear your unfiltered opinion on the debate. I did actually. He enjoyed it. The standpoint of a debate, I think that was a fair mechanic. Yeah, no, I just. Nazar says, so it's reframed to moral consideration. Then surely there is a moral consideration to the potential of life in a fetus without direct interference to terminate. So I don't know. Again, I would want your guys' honest opinion on it. And if I'm off base, then please tell me. But natural processes in my mind means that the natural process of a fetus is to be living symbiotically with the mother, and then the person who is brain dead is not, like, they're outside of, and that's how they live their life. You know. Yeah, and I guess Charlie, I guess I didn't like that the position was so obvious in your mind. I guess figuring out how to defend that position is like the next step, but oh man. Debates in the modern sense are useless because it only matters about definitional arguments and not holistic ones. Right, like, the whole defining of what an abortion is, and oh well, the Harvard medical definition is this, and so the Harvard medical definition is abortion is the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, or the fetus and placenta. He left this part out, and I didn't see it, from the uterus. In general, the terms fetus and placenta are used after 8 weeks of pregnancy. Pregnancy tissue and products of conception refer to the tissue produced by the union of an egg and sperm before 8 weeks. Other terms for abortion include elective abortion, induced abortion, termination of pregnancy, and therapeutic abortion. Dude, I don't know, man. That was wild. It was pretty wild to be a part of. And yet, I understand, these debates they're not really debates. It's and that one was a call-in. He does call-in, so I wasn't on my account. He's probably smart to do that so people can't leech off of him. But then again, he doesn't know who I am. I've been on his show before. I wonder if he's still live or what. His name on TikTok is Commie Bro Jovan, I believe, or something.
How do you say tomorrow in Spanish?
Let me see if I can find him.
La cajita. Ahorita viene mi hija a ayudarme, chicas. Bienvenidos a todos para todos.
Sorry. He may have gotten off. Oh, nope, he's there. He's still going.
Thought I had the other day. Feel free to kick me if you only want debates.
No, you can ask your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about white collar crime, and I generally like agree with prison abolition just like as a whole. I'm not super educated on the details, but I totally am all for rehabilitative justice, and it makes much more sense to me than just like throwing someone in prison for X amount of years as a sense of like quote unquote justice.
Whatever. No fun. Work backwards on him. Brain dead can be killed due to no sentience. How about person in a coma? If that is also acceptable, how about if someone is knocked unconscious? How about if you are asleep? Yeah, I think he's live on YouTube, I believe, right now too. Yeah, and I said that quick to see if I could like catch him on something, but no, they do have sentience. I had looked that up probably like a week ago. But yeah, I do know that comatose has sentience. I mean, obviously in the potential thereof, but brain dead is brain dead. And you're gone. So, but yeah, like how again, it's just, and I don't even believe that he believes what he's saying, which is even crazier. Like just to say, oh, just fucking deep fry him, eat him for lunch. Like what, dude? Like you don't sound cool. I guess try, but go back to the group consensus and what actually hits. Yeah, and I don't particularly care for, and I don't know, maybe it's the what in me that's speaking, but the whole like going back to, oh well, slavery was accepted by everyone. Like no, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't accepted by everyone, certainly by a lot of people, but they also worked really hard quickly to, I mean, slavery was taken out pretty quickly in America shortly after Britain got rid of it. You know, it's just, yeah, he's talking about US law. He gets into some of like the global stuff too, but again, these are from what I've seen and what I understand, these people also don't take into consideration like a lot of the stuff going on abroad. They're not really aware. They selectively choose the things that they want to defend or not. Yeah, he's trying to sell it, right? Like he's trying to get money from his group. He's trying to make people donate to him. I'd have to VC you to explain the concept, but the explain why is self-evident truth. You can't. Owned is a shitty argumentation. Self-evident truth being it's a immoral to kill humans. Yeah. All right, I'll jump in Discord real quick. Come on, Nasmer, jump in. I got a few minutes, and then I gotta end. What the fuck? I'm just gonna go into mod chat because I think I don't want to get interrupted. I mean, I think it's one of those things where the fuck is my mod chat? There it is.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello, Nasmer.
Yeah. So what I'll explain to you now is quickly, when he's like, "Oh, can you explain to me why, why it is immoral to, kill life, or why, terminating human life is immoral?"
Mhm.
And then it becomes a case of, well, it's self-evident, and this is what it is with your circular argumentation of it's a human being.
Yeah.
That is because to every normal, well-adjusted person, they understand the intrinsic value of a human life.
Right.
The problem is then when it's like, why, but why, but why, but why, like a child, you go, oh, the round peg goes into the round hole.
Yeah.
And then they ask, but why? And you go, because it fits, but why? And then eventually it gets to the point where you would need like a master's degree in, geometric shapes and maths to explain exactly why. And that's what this is. That's why it's such a lame attempt of argumentation, because it's then counting on someone not having the philosophical know-how to thoroughly explain in like proper terms and verbiage on why it is intrinsically valuable. That's essentially it.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
a way
you
to
can
discredit me. Well, like when there's nothing to discredit. It's like I understand the intrinsic value, but for some reason, it just seemed like he had nothing left to say, and was just like, okay, well, you got to define it, bro. You got to define it. You come in here on a debate podcast, you got to define it, bro.
yeah, it just becomes a game of why, but why, until you break it down into like into atoms and quantum mass.
Right.
Like, and it just becomes an impossible task of them going, but why, but why? So that's why it's such a bad thing. And you had it. I can't remember the exact line, but I'm gonna have to go through, and it was a banger, dude. Where it was like talking about why do you have the right to stop the natural progression or something?
Yeah, basically saying what gives you the moral right to interfere with the natural process of sentience. And then that's when we started getting into the back and forth of like, what about the brain dead person? It's like, well, the natural process of the brain dead person was to be outside and not dependent in living symbiotically with something. But the natural process of a fetus is not outside. You can't, like, taking it outside is unnatural. So, and that's what I was trying to explain to him. And he got all mad. He's like, well, now you're shifting the goalposts and you won't answer my question. It's like, you don't understand what the natural process is. So we can't move on until you acknowledge that this is the natural process. You taking it out of it is analogous to, or it's not analogous. It's the opposite. You know what I mean? It's the exact opposite of it. So, oh man.
Yeah, it's like contextually different. Like you were very easily being able to explain the difference between a brain dead person has no natural ability to become unbrain dead,
Right.
whereas a fetus that, again, we can discuss the sentience thing. He was saying 24 weeks, but then you've got examples of like 17-week-old fetuses being prematurely born, developing into healthy human beings.
Right.
It then like gets into the weeds of like, okay, so if I was to, I don't know, kick a pregnant woman that was only 6 weeks pregnant and cause an early termination, am I only to be charged with assault and get 6 weeks prison time?
Mhm.
Or is it worse and I should be, jailed or punished for more?
Right.
Why?
Then,
why so?
Yeah.
If it doesn't have intrinsic value or because it's unsentient?
And this is one of the hard parts about debating stuff, is that people hardline issues and don't realize like, oh, well, I'm against capital punishment. I'm like, really? Like, because what you really want to say is like, I'll go to an extreme example and like, let's harm someone that you're close to right in front of you. You're going to tell me that you're going to put them in therapy. You're going to ask that the courts go easy on them. Like there's all different reasons. And again, and even for like your example of kicking a pregnant woman in the stomach who's like only 6 weeks pregnant. I mean, you could really make the argument that it was malicious intent, right? Like it wasn't just an accident. It was just like a full on, like, you ain't having that baby, wham. And now it's double homicide.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. For a specific reason, because it's strange because the law can naturally, like, already, again, with the self-evidently ascertains that you are murdering the potential of life.
Yes.
Yeah. So if the law can ascertain that,
there probably is some substance to well, these are conservative states that are, defining life in a way that no one else agrees with. Like, I guess you could take that sort of way, like if someone in that example of the pregnant woman getting kicked in the stomach at 6 weeks,
This is the central control
you
unit for
could
the
make the argument that they, I guess maybe I don't know if you can or not, but do you kind of get what you kind of pick up what I'm putting down? Like, some people might argue that, well, it's a conservative state. They are, I don't know. I don't even know how to form this. I do know that there's a lot to think about with this particular topic. I just don't think people think about it through enough and understand all the gray area that's involved.
Yeah, like my missus just started going, oh, and she like referenced, apparently there's a whole Unborn Victims of Violence Act from 2004 in the States.
Oh, really?
Which recognizes that an embryo or fetus in utero as a legal victim, therefore giving them rights.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing to look into, to use.
I still think it's bullshit when he's like, well, it doesn't matter if like I've had kids or not. Like, it kind of does. Like, you can have an opinion on it, sure. Like, you can absolutely have an opinion on it, but I guarantee like things will change, and often do, when you actually raise children and understand like the whole process behind it. It also depends on how present people are. I get the fact that people are, they're a whole collection of ideas and experiences, and some people just don't have the interest in understanding what really goes into it all. But goddamn, like, to dismiss that life, that potential of life so quickly is so bizarre to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. Because it was very funny when he was like, "I was present for the birth and raising of a child." Yes, I was like, "No, you weren't.
Right.
Not in the way Shags is asking. That was you saw your cousin as a baby or your brother as a baby and saw him raised." But I mean, I can sympathize with you as a parent of two. That I've watched, the oh my God, it's been years. Why am I forgetting the words? Where they do the scans. They do the scans and they show
ultrasound.
The ultrasound. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh God. After all that like specialist talk, getting into the nitty gritty, I'm like, oh, what's an ultrasound? But anyway, we're watching the ultrasound, and I'm watching, my unborn child react to outside stimuli of the pressure of the ultrasound, and like putting her hands. I'll say her hands in front of her face and reacting to this at like 12 weeks.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, that's a straight up sentient being. I don't understand how people cannot. Oh man.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, to say that a baby isn't experiencing anything before 24 weeks is insane, and it totally speaks to his ignorance as a parent. Like, or even just knowledge of how childbirth is and like what the process is. Because you're right, like even what the Brahma said, sonogram or ultrasound, whatever it is, all that stuff, like they won't. And I don't know if you know this, but they told us a couple times like they don't want to do too many ultrasounds because it does affect the baby. Like, it makes them flinch, and it makes it, it's sound waves pummeling them. Like they don't do it a whole lot. So it's pretty interesting that these people come in and they talk all this shit and they literally have no idea what they're talking about. Like, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. You can run with it, but I was just explaining, like, yeah, man, like it's definitely, it's reacted, like the fetus is reacting to external stimuli, and and in a way that just makes you naturally go, that's human reaction.
Yeah.
And then they're just going, oh, well, it's just a collection of nervous systems reacting to stimuli, and there's no consciousness involved. I'm like, okay, but then we can just I would then point to the sunfish. I love the sunfish because he's a great example. He is functionally brain dead, right? In the ocean.
Yeah.
Seals come up to him and take a chunk out of his head, and it won't even react because it's barely got any sentience, if any whatsoever, right? So then you could then ask, like, okay, if we can terminate life willy-nilly without consequence, without moral consideration due to sentience or lack of, could like psychopaths take out their violent tendencies on sunfish? Could we have zoos of sunfish for psychopaths to come in and stab and mutilate and torture and stuff? No, that's terrible to the welfare. I'm like, well, it's got no sentience, so apparently morally it's moot.
Right.
That would be my thoughts. I would love to pick people's brains on who are pro-abortion on that stance.
Like I said, I'm not even like 100% against it. You know, like I said 100 times, like I think up to a certain point, you know, it's acceptable, but I would advise against it because, I mean, there's even many instances where women who wanted abortion or I'm sorry, women who wanted to give their children up for adoption, they get to the, you know, they give birth and then all of a sudden they want to keep it. They totally change their mind. Like, nope, I'm going to keep the child. Like I'm attached to this now. It's mine. Like it's a thing. And again, it's not something, but you know, getting in the way of that process, again, the natural process of beginning the child rearing and holding your baby for the first time, it changes you in ways you never thought it would. It changes the dad. It changes the mom. It totally changes the mom during pregnancy. I mean, ask your wife if she's the same person she was before you guys had kids as opposed to now. I would almost guarantee something about her changed. And again, that might be anecdotal, but I think it's an important thing that people need to consider, especially during these debates, because these aren't real debates. These are people having conversations. And again, I'm not trying to force that belief on people, but people should at least hear the opposition or hear someone who might be a little bit more rational than, God, some of these fucking whack jobs.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing is like, it's an unquantifiable change.
Yeah.
Well, you can quantify it biologically, like, oh, you know, X, Y, and Z happens hormonally and stuff. But in terms of what's happening in the brain, as far as this point in science goes, it's an unquantifiable, extrinsic, I believe the word is.
Yeah.
Motivation. And to try and qualify it in words when these people are like, but why? But why? It just shows a lack of experience in life and going by doctrines of certain types of ideology. That's the problem there.
Yeah, man. I just like, it was a good debate though. I heard this dude on TikTok the other day. And like I said, I've debated with him before. Actually, the video we're writing the script on, the very first debate, I think I talk about this dude. And I wanted to come back and argue with him again because he's just, I don't know, he's deranged, man. I think, like I said, I think his name on TikTok is like Commie Bro Jovan or something like that. It's something stupid. Like he like one of his topics is capitalism is bad, all while collecting money through capitalism. Fucking moron. But yeah,
man. That was good. I won't take up any more of your time, and I apologize for the TV playing in the background because I've got kids.
No,
unlike some of these people.
No, all good, man.
So,
thanks for joining.
Cheers, man. See you in a bit.
All right, later.
Peace.
Yeah, dudes. I think that was amazing. I think it was an amazing debate. I think it was fun. I just put the Discord link in chat. If you guys are not a part of the Discord, please consider joining the Discord community as we are trying to play games. We're trying to make a really cool custom Minecraft server. That's going to be a really swell RPG experience. And again, just gaming in general and having fun and talking politics, talking pop culture, talking movies, watching movies. It's all going to happen. Like I said, we're building a community. And I'm just trying to do more and more and more when I can. So I want to thank you guys. Thank you all for joining today for this debate. It's been fun. Thank you, Nasmer, for joining and giving me a quick rundown and a quick explanation. All makes sense. Thank you for all the mods who showed up tonight. Thank you. Trey50 Daniel dropped a 10 spot for us. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. It's all helpful. All of this, all the donations and memberships, they go to keeping me rolling. That's what like I really cushion the fall on life's bills with some of the YouTube income. So please if you can spare a little bit and you want to help out and you want to see more, think about dropping a membership either on Twitch or on YouTube, wherever you want. Thank you guys so much. I will see y'all on the next stream. We're going to stream tonight. We're going to play video games tonight. So come back. I'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheShagsworth. Y'all be good. We'll see you guys later tonight.
I like to put stuff online.